Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Kay Unscripted and I am your girl Kay. And today we're going to be talking about the Traitors USA. I'm going to be doing the recaps on episodes 1 to 3. But before I get into the recap, y'all, I just want to take a minute and to say that as you have seen, I've been away for quite some time. I have been going through it, right? I think it's safe to say that 2025 kind of had all of us in a chokehold, but I am here and I am back. And unfortunately, well, fortunately, I am doing this live because just as the Traitors premiered, I ended up getting a cold and I have been sick. I had no voice, but my voice is back and I'm here to talk about the Traitors. So please bear with me and let's get into this recap.
Unscripted, no teeth restricted. In this journey, watch our stories unfold.
Okay, so since I did not do a cast video, we're just going to go through the cast. And if you're new here, we're just going to go through what the Traitors is about. If you have never heard of the show. So the Traitors is hosted by a Scottish actor called Alan Cumming. So it's pretty much a game. When the game begins, Alan will be secretly selecting 3 members of the cast to become traitors, while the remaining contestants are designated as faithfuls. Now, throughout the competition, the faithful and the traitors will be working together on different group challenges to contribute to the prize pot. Now, the faithfuls have to discover who the hidden traitors are, and they secretly, quote unquote, murder players each night, while the traitors work to eliminate, or they call it banish, the faithfuls. Now, if the traitors remain at the end of the game, they will split the prize, which is $250,000 among themselves. However, if all the traitors are eliminated, the prize money will be divided among the faithfuls. Okay, so we're just going to go through some of the cast, and just based on the picture that I have up, we're going to be starting from the top left. So we have Rob Roche. Now, trust and believe that I'm going to be watching some names because you all already know I didn't baptize them. So, Rob is from Love Island, USA. I think many people know of Rob. Then we have Donna Kelsey. She's the mother of the NFL players Travis and Jason Kelsey, which I think this is Taylor Swift's future mother in law, right? Up next, we have Yamil. It's called Jam Jam. He's the winner of Survivor season 44. Then we have Lisa Renner, who is from the franchise Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She's no longer on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but she used to be, right? Next, we have Tiffany Mitchell, who played Big Brother and The Challenge. Up next, we have Miss Portia Williams. We love her some Portia, who is on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And next, we have Colton Underwood, who was The Bachelor. He was on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. Next, we have Natalie Anderson, who was on The Amazing Race and Survivor. We have Michael Rappaport. He's an actor or a comedian. I think many people do know who he is. I don't know him. Then we have Caroline Stanbury. She's from The Real Housewives of Dubai. Up next, we have Maura Higgins. If you're a Love Island fan, you already know that Maura was the host of Love Island, and she's also the host of After Sun on Love Island. Up next, we have Ron Funches. I don't know if I'm saying it right. He's an actor, comedian. Then we have Stephen Coletti, who was on the Laguna Beach and won Tree Hill. Then we have Monet Exchange, who was on RuPaul's Drag Race. Up next is Ian Terry from Big Brother. I think he was the winner of Big Brother. Then there's Eric Nam, who's a singer. We have Dorinda Medley, who was on the Real Housewives of New York. And she was also on Traitors season 3. She's a returnee. If you watch season 3, you will know that the very first night Dorinda was eliminated. And following Dorinda, we have Mark Ballas, who's on Dancing with the Stars, followed by Candice Dillard Bassett. She used to be on the Real Housewives of Potomac. She's no longer on Real Housewives of Potomac. Up next, we have Johnny Ware. I don't know if I'm saying it right. He's an Olympic figure skater, followed by Christine Kish, who's on Top Chef and also a host of Top Chef. Then we have Rob Sister. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Who's a Survivor veteran and a podcaster. And last but not least is Tara Lipinski, who is an Olympic figure skating legend. Okay, so I just went through all of the cast of the Traitors season 4. Now, y'all, let's just get right into this recap. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to leave your comments because I do need us to chat. Okay, so let's get into this recap. So episode 1 opens up with everyone pulling up to the castle. They're serving looks. Some people are nervous, and we of course have some main character energy. Some people walk in like, I've got this. Some people are so confident. Other people walk in and they just know they're going to be crying. So then we see Alan Cummings, who enters dressed up like a rich villain who owns several cursed antiques, right? Alan is smiling, but you already know he's about to ruin these people's lives. So the house was literally lighting up, and we know it's about to get real. So we see everyone outside, and they're familiarizing themselves with each other, who's acquainted to who, hugging and pretty much getting to know each other. Alan walks up and then he summons all of the players to come down to where he is at, and he tells them that something different is happening. So everybody's like really shocked. And he says he will be picking a secret traitor, and no one is going to know who that secret traitor is, not even us, the viewers. And I'm just like, what already? So we already have twists and turns from episode 1. So he gives the contestants the rules of the games, and he then says that he's now going to pick his first traitor. And I was a little bit worried. I'm like, how is this going to happen? So he calls for his guards, and he says that there are 23 chests for each player, and only one player is going to get the traitor card in their chest. So each player will now come up, the chest is going to open, and then they will know who has the traitor card. So Candice is the first one who comes up. Oh, I forgot to say also that usually I have videos, I have pictures during my recaps. Since this is a live, I wasn't able to retrieve all of my stuff, but moving forward, I will be adding my pictures like I usually do for all of my recaps. Okay? All right. So now let's get back to it. So Candice is the first one who comes up, and they don't even show us her box. They don't even show us any of the contestants' box. But immediately everyone's looking suspicious. Everyone is looking at each other like, did something change? Are you the traitor? And so the traitor is picked in plain sight, and then all of the contestants are asked to enter the house and they start exploring. Then we see a conversation between Lisa Rena, Ian, Tara, and Colton. And I was just like, why does Colton look suspicious? Right? Do you think he would be the secret traitor? I mean, there have been so many spoiler alerts on the internet so far because the episodes have come out from last week, but we don't want to know any spoilers, okay? So then there's a conversation between Moni and Yam Yam or Jam Jam. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I think it's Jam Jam. And they're trying to figure out who the traitor is. And off the bat, Moni says that he thinks it's Mama Kelsey because she has the perfect cover up. Now we're going to see that coming up in a few more episodes. But that was a really good call out from Moni. Then there's a conversation between Portia, Maura, Kristen, and Michael. And Maura said that she cannot pick out anyone from the group to say that they're a traitor because she hasn't watched any of their shows. And Portia's looking like her, like she doesn't believe her. She doesn't believe her what that Maura is saying. And Portia says, so at what point are we going to be honest, right? Michael says, you're not supposed to be. And now everybody's watching Michael side eye because why would you say something like that, right? But I just feel like choosing Michael would be too obvious of a pick for a traitor. I don't think he's going to make a good traitor because we all know Michael has this big, loud personality, and for me, it would have just been too obvious to pick Michael as a traitor. So everyone is now summoned to the round table because this is where Alan is going to now handpick the three traitors. So everyone has to put on a blindfold, and he lets them know that if you feel his hand on their shoulder, you have now become a traitor. So we find out that the three persons chosen as the traitors are Candice, Lisa Rayner, and Rob R. Or like Candice likes to say, Alabama Rob, right? From Love Island. So after the three traitors are picked, Alan then asks everybody to remove their blindfolds, and he says that there's not going to be any murder happening tonight. It's going to be a meet and greet. And so, everybody's looking at everybody's body language and trying to tell if somebody's acting suspicious. So, and there's also going to be side conversations happening. So, Michael is having a chat and he's giving a theory that there are five housewives, there are five gamers, so it has to be one of each of the groups as a traitor. Now, him saying that already is already putting a target on the housewives back, and we know in history of the traitors, they always go for the housewives, right? If you know, you know. If you've been watching the traitors, you would know that they always go for the housewives. Anyways, Candice and the little crew. Now I'm not familiar with everybody's name yet. So Candice and the little crew, they're having a conversations and they're throwing names out there. And Candice says she feels like Lisa Renner would be a great traitor. Now she's not wrong. But I'm just like, girl, what are you doing? Why are you throwing names already? Anyway, Robbie's in a corner looking like a lone wolf. And then Michael calls him out. He tells him, this cute looks that you're giving and being quiet is going to be a problem. So Rob says, um, so he says Robbie's being too quiet, and Rob is like, well, this is just who I am. I'm just a quiet person. But anyways, the clock strikes and it's now time for bed. So everyone heads to bed, but we know the traitors have to meet up so that they can reveal to each other who is the traitor, right? So the traitors meet up, and we see individually they all take an oath with Alan, the host, and they all head into, I think it's a dungeon where they're going to be revealing who they are. And so the first two reveal themselves, Candice and Lisa Rayner. They get to see that they both are traitors, and then Rob comes in, and they're all thrilled that it's the three of them who's a traitor. But guess what? There is still a secret traitor that they do not know the identity of. So, anyways, they're talking, and immediately Candy says that she did name drop Lisa. She wants to be transparent, and she says she's going to take it back. She's going to circle around and try to get Lisa's name out of people's ears. Then we see the secret traitor meeting with Alan while the other traitors are discussing. Um, and I don't know why I thought so. Okay, I sorry, I lost my train of thought. So while the traitors were meeting and discussing and whatnot, Alan comes into the room, and I don't know. For me, I thought it was a secret traitor coming to meet the other three traitors, but it was just Alan. And he tells them that the secret traitor will not be joining them, and no one knows the identity of the traitor, right? Well, Alan does, but nobody else knows the identity of the secret traitor. So he also tells them that the secret traitor will be making a list of who they think should be murdered, and they must then pick someone from the list. So the secret traitor is the one handpicking persons to be eliminated, and the traitors will then select someone from that list to be murdered, right? So this is a conversation we see between the traitors and Alan. Now it's the next day, and this is the first mission that they're going to have. Now that looks really scary to me because from the time I saw the ocean or the sea with the coffins in it, I was just like, oh my god, this is scary. So there are 100 coffins on the banks, and in each of the coffins lies 12 bags of gold. So what they're supposed to do is to latch it to their boat and place it in a grave. Every successful entry is $2,500. And so there are three boats. So they have to split up in three groups, and they must look out for the coffin that has the dollar sign on it, because the coffin that has the asterisk or the X on it, it has nothing. I'm going to be taking some steep breaks because, like I said, I still have the cold and I'm recovering from it. So I might be taking some little breaks for me to take that steep walk up to make sure that my throat is not dry. Okay, so we have three different boats. There's the red boat, the green boat, and the white boat. And the leaders of the boats are: red boat is Rob, Alabama Rob from Love Island. Colton has the green boat, and Steven has the white boat. Now, in the beginning of the challenge, the red boat was in the lead. They got their first coffin. And to their surprise, when they get to the grave site, Alan then tells them that the coffin must go into the grave of one of the players. So they must now put their coffin in one of the other players' grave, right? So everyone is shook, right? And we all know that this is going to bring tension because you put a coffin in my grave, it's going to be some issues, right? He also says that, so they play a little game, right? And they put the coffin in the grave. Um, and once they get to the final minute, Portia sees them trying to put a coffin in her grave, and she is pissed. But anyways, the group and ends up having $22,500 altogether. So then we have the persons whose names were selected to get oh boy, to get a coffin in their grave. So it's Rob, Dorinda, Ian, Mark, and it was almost Portia, but they didn't have time to put it in Portia's grave. So they sent the safe players home or back to the castle, but Michael is pissed. Michael is pissed, and we'll see Michael being pissed, right? Michael is always pissed about something. But Portia gets to know how her name almost got put up because Candice says that it was Michael who suggested that they target a housewife and put her name in the grave. So Candice was saying it was Michael who decided to select Portia's name, right? So back at the house, the list of players up for murder returned to the castle and they're sitting together. Portia is with them. She throws out that there could be a traitor at the gravesite. She's saying, we don't even know each other that well to be picking who to send home. And she calls out Michael and she tells Michael, but you sure know whose name to pick out to send home. He said he didn't pick Portia's name. And then we see Ron kind of confirming that Michael really didn't say to put it in Portia's grave, right? So then we see Michael having a who said that? Now, if you're a Real Housewives fan, a Real Housewives of Atlanta fan, you will know the famous line of Portia, who said that? So Michael's like, who said that? And then they go to where the other players are. And Michael says, well, tell me who said it, Portia. Tell me, I want to know. So Portia calls out Candice and she says, well, Candice is the one who told me that Michael said to put the casket in my grave. And so Candice is like, well, I didn't say he said that today. He definitely said that yesterday, but I never said he said that today. And so Portia is shook. She looks confused. She looks pissed because, of course, Candice is playing with words. Yes, Michael did say that, but he didn't say it at that time. But Candice did tell Portia Michael said it. So it's all part of Candice's gameplay to throw Michael under the bus, but then it ends up making Portia look like she's lying, right? So Portia says, well, Maura, you were there in the car with us. You heard Candy say it. Maura is like, me? I don't have a clue. I don't know. I don't even remember what I said yesterday. So we can clearly tell that Portia is pissed off because Maura is choosing to not get involved. Again, gameplay. And Portia is upset, and rightfully so. So Candice now is trying to deflect and say, well, maybe Michael is a traitor, right? So after all of the talk, they head to bed, and as stated, the secret traitor has to create a short list for the traitors to now select one person to send home or to be murdered, right? So the traitors meet up to discuss the shortlist that they received from the secret traitor, and the names on the list are Rob, Ian, Mark, and Eric. And so this is the end of episode 1 because everyone is trying to figure out who the secret traitor is. So this is where episode 1 ends. So now I must say that I really did enjoy episode 1. Just enough drama, just enough stirring up happening. And let me tell you, I've never seen so many twists and turns in the Traitor as it has been happening in this season. There's so many things happening. So we start off with episode 2, and of course, we know when breakfast time comes, that's when everyone gets to know who was sent home. But episode 2 is a continuation of the discussion between the traitors as to selecting who they should send home. So we just see them deliberating. So it's the next day. It is now breakfast time, and the first four to enter the breakfast area are Lisa, Rena, Monet, Tiffany, and Caroline. So Tiffany is filling in Caroline on what went down between Michael, Candice, and Portia, because Caroline said she was not in the room and she kind of missed it. So they're filling each other in and they're wondering, like, why would Portia say that, right? Because Portia is kind of looking like she's lying on Candice. And I mean, Candice just kind of weaved through that lie, right? Um, then some other persons come into the room. Dorinda walks into the room and she gets emotional. Once she gets in, everybody starts, they literally give her a standing ovation. And like I said in the beginning, Dorinda was on season 3, and the very first night she was sent home. So for her to actually survive for a night is a big deal for Dorinda. So she was getting so emotional and she was just so happy that she made it through another night. So then the rest of the persons come in, and we know it's always dramatic when the final group of people come in. And so it was Michael, Rob R, Mark, and Eric. And so immediately everyone notices that Ian got murdered, right? So everyone is sad and feeling bad that Ian got sent home. And then we see Alan walking in looking as fabulous as always. And he always makes this speech. But the part that hurts the most is when he goes to take the picture frame and he just slams it on the floor. So he did his little ritual in slamming Ian's photo on the floor. And that was really funny. So he also lets them know that it's time for the next mission, and he gives them a hint of being thrown. Now, just before the mission, Portia was speaking to just a group of them. They were having a conversation, and I think my girl may have slipped up and said, "I killed Ian." And I'm like, "Girl, Portia, what are you doing? Why would you say that, Portia?" Now, I don't know if it was the accent or maybe her words got twisted. And we all know how filming goes. Sometimes they cut off certain things, so we don't always fully see the whole conversation. But I found it really strange that Portia said that. So that must have been an error. And that's going to come up. Okay, that's going to come up later. So there's a group outside as well: Colton, Lisa, Moni, and Tiffany. And all of a sudden, Tiffany kind of hints that Donna might be a traitor because she said that Donna is too chill. Donna doesn't interact with anyone. She is not making any connections. And the only reason why you would not be interacting with anyone or making any connections is maybe because you feel like you're safe and there's no need for you to want to interact with anyone because duh, I'm a traitor, right? And that's a valid a valid reason to say that someone is a traitor. And then we see Portia again in another group, and she slips up again because she said that there are 4 traitors. However, this time around, when Portia did explain what she was saying, I think she was trying to say if I were a traitor, this is what I would have done. This is how this, she was kind of lining it up. But you know how people can twist and turn your words and make it seem like something that it's not. Okay, so we get to the mission, and Alan says that the keyword for the mission is throne. So everyone walks up to where the mission is, and he says that there are three thrones and they must be carried back to the castle, and there's a chance to collect up to $24,000 as you head back to the castle. He also says that on the journey to the castle, there are also shields that will protect you from murder. But here's the gag. There are no time checks, and they have 45 minutes to get that challenge done. They have to figure it out themselves because there's no time check. So you either beat the clock or you win nothing, right? So this is what the challenge is. So they now split into groups and they must now decide which three persons will be selected to sit on the throne. So the first go around, the three persons, the three tiny persons, as I said, that will be sitting on the throne are Tiffany, Candice, and Caroline. So when they get to the first stop, the notice says that you win $8,000. There's $8,000, and there are also shields. Now, the moment Michael sees that there are shields, he starts getting frantic because Michael wants a shield, right? Michael knows he's been talking a lot of smack, he's been loud, he's been obnoxious, and he wants to be protected. But while they're searching for the money, Monet finds a shield, and instead Monet gives it to Lisa Renner. So Lisa Renner now has to sit on the throne, right? So Lisa Renner is on the throne. Then Stephen, who is also searching for money, he found several shields and he gives one to Dorinda. And Dorinda must now select someone to dethrone so that she can now sit on the throne. So she takes Candice off the throne. Okay. So they continue on their journey. They get to the next stop, which gives the same sign that there's $8,000 in the field and there are also shield tokens. Steven finds another token and he gives it to Caroline. Caroline takes it to Tiffany's throne. So Tiffany is now off the throne and Caroline is on the throne. Maura now finds a token and she goes to Dorinda. She dethrones Dorinda and Maura is now on the throne. So they make it to the next destination and again the same sign, $8,000 and shield tokens. Colton finds a token, and so that was really funny because Colton now decides to take Lisa Renner's throne because he suspects that Lisa Renner might be a traitor. So imagine a big man like Colton sitting on the throne, and that's exactly what he does. So Rob R, or Alabama Rob, finds a token and he feels a little sad when he sees Jam Jam just standing there trying to get a token to be safe. I don't know why Jam Jam thought like he needed a token, but when Rob R saw that, decided to give the shield to Jam Jam. So Jam Jam is now deciding who he's going to dethrone. Mora is sitting on her throne and she's begging not to be booted. But unfortunately, Jam 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 dethrones Mora. And baby, she was pissed. She was upset. She wasn't happy. She wasn't having it. And so Michael now steps in because Michael, like I said, he is pissed. He's been wanting a token. He's been wanting a shield. And he hasn't gotten a shield so far. So when he saw that Jam Jam booted Mora, he's like, I need a throne. I need to sit on the throne. I need a shield token. And I thought we would have been discussing who would get a throne. I thought everyone would have gotten a chance to sit on the throne. I don't know where he got the rules from because that was not part of the rules. But Michael was pissed because Michael wanted to get a shield token and he didn't get one. And I'm just like, so this is not a town hall, okay? That's not what's happening here, right? Now Mora is furious, and because Jam Jam took a spot, she now thinks that Jam Jam is a traitor. Obviously, everyone is going to have different reasons as to why they think persons are traitors, and that's what they're supposed to do, speculate, right? So the group does manage to beat the clock, driving, pushing three heavy men to the finish line. Two heavy men, sorry. So it was Jam Jam, Caroline, and Colton who was safe. There were the three persons sitting on the throne, and they won $22,500. But baby, Michael was still pissed off. He was still steaming. Michael was not happy at all. He wasn't here for it. But Alan says, "How about we leave this for the round table, okay?" So just before roundtable happens, we know there's going to be several side conversations happening, and there's a little group eating together. Donna gets asked who she thinks is a traitor, or does she think there's anyone who looks suspicious? And she says, "No, I don't know." And when she said that, that made everybody look at her kind of side eye because it's suspicious. Because everyone is throwing names. Why would you not want to throw a name, right? And pretty much everyone leaves, and it's just she and Ron sitting together, Ron the comedian. And somehow they agree that Portia is the easiest target, and Portia is the one that should be going up to be banished. But on the flip side, a few people think Donna is the secret traitor or she is the traitor, right? So we get to the round table, and of course, it's painfully quiet in the beginning. It's very awkward. Everyone's just looking at each other, waiting for somebody to break the silence. So Natalie finally breaks the silence and she comes for Donna. She's saying, from the moment they came from the last round table, Donna looked really stressed. And she also said that she's unfriendly. She doesn't interact with anyone. She doesn't speak to anybody or anything like that. Donna responds with the sad mom defense, and immediately Natalie just shuts her down. Like it's not making sense. Then here comes Ron the comedian. He steps in and lays out a full case on Portia. He brings up the misunderstanding with Candice. He also said that he heard Portia say she killed Ian, and he also mentioned that Portia said that there are four traitors. And honestly, if I were people, I would be convinced too, because of the way he laid out his case. But Portia responds and she's very calm. And I thought she would have really gone a little bit harder because, hey, you're trying to defend yourself. But I really feel like Portia was blindsided. She didn't go into this round table thinking that she would have been the target. I don't think so. But she does say that she may have misspoke, and she said that she was thinking like a traitor. She explained herself very well, but I feel like Portia should have went a little bit harder. Candice joins in to defend Portia, basically saying that, Portia is just being Portia. I know her. Sometimes she says things and it's not really what she's trying to say. But then Candice pivots and comes for Donna and says that she would make a really good traitor because she's very quiet and she would have the perfect cover up. But Donna fires back and flips it on Candice and says, in fact, Candice, you would make a brilliant traitor because you're very talkative and you seem to know how to deflect. But Ron, the comedian, he butts in again and says, no, y'all, please don't get distracted. Portia is the traitor. Now, like I said, Michael has been pissed from the beginning and he's still pissed about the shields. And so he wants to make his statement. And in his deliberation, he also slips up and said, we got rid of Ian. And baby, everyone was watching Michael like, what is actually going on? Is that a slip up? Are you a traitor or are you just a terrible people? Because make it make sense. Eric calls on Michael and says once he opens his mouth, it's just pure chaos. I think they even do say that he's either a traitor or he's a really bad people. But the room is pure chaos. Everyone is irritated. Everyone is just throwing names out there. But Alan says it's now time to vote. So, y'all, this is how the vote went. And I was nervous as hell when each person was calling out who they would like to banish. But Donna had 8 votes, Portia had 9 votes, and Michael had 4 votes. And as you could tell, it was very tight between Donna and Portia. Just 1 vote separated them. But honestly, the vote that Lisa Rayner gave to Portia, for me, that was wild considering the housewives always stick together. It was really strange that Lisa Rayner voted for Portia. But of course, she wants to save herself and she doesn't want to look suspicious. So she voted for Portia. But Colton was the one who had the deciding vote, and Portia did get banished. And so there's the moment of truth where Portia came up to let everyone know that she is, in fact, a faithful. And immediately you could tell that there was regret on everyone's face who voted for Portia. Ron, him too, he realized that he put a massive target on his back because he called Portia out for no reason. And Donna, she walks away free. So guys, tell me, do you think Donna is playing innocent or is she playing smart? Based on what she said, would you have believed her? And did you also peep how she suddenly started talking more and started being around people more once she was called out at that round table? Yeah, I picked that and I hope you picked that too. Now, later on, the traitors all get a note saying that they must commit murder in plain sight. Somebody is going to be taken out in plain sight. So they're told that there's a hidden list from the secret traitor and it's hidden in a portrait in a tarot card. They must somehow meet together to discuss who they're going to slay. And that person, their card has to be burned secretly. Now, if they're successful, they get to meet the secret traitor. And if they're not successful, there's no murder happening tonight. And they will also be losing control of the game. Because remember, the secret traitor is the one who's preparing the list of names of persons to be slain, right? And so if they don't pass that test, they will not have control over the game. So immediately they get to work and they're trying to figure out a way to distract everyone so that Rob can find the card because he immediately spotted it in the kitchen. Lisa is walking around, Candice is walking around crazy trying to think of how they're going to pull off this thing. So Candice decides to start a Congo line to distract everyone, and honestly, that alone would have had me suspicious if I'm really paying attention. Because why would you all of a sudden just ask for a Congo line? But it actually worked out, except that Rob C kind of peeped that there was going to be a murder happening in plain sight, right? But Rob, he was able to snatch the list without anybody noticing because he started on the Congo and he's like, nah, I'm good, I'm not going on this, right? He was able to grab the list, and the names on the list were Monet, Rob C, Kristen, and Tara. So now that Rob has the list, he has to try to find a way to meet with at least one other traitor so that they could decide who they're sending home. So he decided to play chess with Lisa Rayner, and they're sitting down and they have to make the decision without Candice to burn the card of the play that they have decided. So they're really smart with how they do it. They were able to point out the different pegs for each person's name, and then they were playing the game as if Rob is teaching Lisa Serena how to play chess. And so, based on the chess game that they're playing, they decide someone to send home. But Candice didn't know. Candice was never able to meet up with them too. So she ends up going to bed. Everybody else come goes to bed, and Candice is in the dark. She doesn't know who was chosen. And baby, that cliffhanger, it was nasty. But this is where the episode ends. That is the end of episode 2. And then, of course, there's more drama happening in episode 3. So it's the morning after, and we know breakfast is always the time that is most nerve wracking because then everybody gets to know who got sent home, right? So the episode opens at the breakfast table. The first people to come in are Colton, Caroline, Jam, right? Colton is saying he feels like he was duped because the case that Ron presented to them, he felt like it was a distraction. He felt like Ron the comedian took the hit of Mama Donna and placed it on Portia. And truth be told, Ron the comedian may not have known what he did, but he really did a good job at taking off the hit of Donna and placing it on Portia. And since they found out that Portia was a faithful, it was a waste of a vote, right? Colton says he also noticed something very important. He said that Michael still wrote Portia's name even after saying he thought the traitor was either Ron or Donna. And that was something I clocked too, right? But as a viewer, we know that Michael is not a traitor, right? So now Jam and Colton are looking at Donna, and they're really suspicious that she is a traitor. They're convinced. Because of them ganging up on Portia, they feel like that's traitor behavior. There is no reason to send Portia home. So Candice comes in, the other group, and she's saying that she was shocked at how hard Ron went in on Portia. You know, people start talking about how confident Ron was at the round table, and everyone feels like they got played by Ron, right? Then Mama Donna jumps in and she says, well, he did let people on to what was happening because they were saying if he had that theory, why didn't he tell us what was happening? So Donna says, well, he did let us know, right? We were in the car together and we talked about it. You all need to watch how you'll talk when people are around because you don't know who's a traitor. Now she's saying that for me was real suspicious, right? That was real suspicious. And I was feeling like, oh, is Donna the secret traitor? Because why would you make that statement? So it was almost like a subtle threat, like, watch your mouth. Because she's obviously going to protect Ron because that's one of the persons we've seen her interacting with the most. So she's saying, watch your mouth, watch what you'll say because you don't know who's a traitor. So for me, I took that as a threat. And I'm like, girl, Donna, that was a bold statement. And honestly, I took it as a threat. Now, you can tell that some of them were really tired of Michael because The man is not giving up on the issue with the shield. And people are fed up and tired of Michael and his shenanigans. Because when he entered the room, Jam Jam was like, "Oh, look, Michael's here. Surprise!" The two of them, I don't know what's going on between the two of them, but they really need to figure that out quickly because the people are tired and I'm tired too, right? We the people, we're tired of the drama between Jam Jam and Michael. Oh my god. So then we see Tiffany whispering to Michael and telling Michael that Jam Jam tried to get her to vote for him. And she said she did because she thought if she didn't do it, he would end her. Now, for me, I'm just like, Tiffany, that's a bit dramatic, right? And now Michael, he already had his suspicions, but he now thinks that Jam Jam is a traitor. And I don't know why Tiffany did that. And I just don't feel like that was a great move. I feel like she was just kind of sucking up to Michael, but that wasn't a good move at all. So the final group walks into the breakfast area, and then we find out that Rob was murdered. And I wasn't surprised because remember, Rob C was one of the persons who pointed out that there was a murder happening in plain sight. And Rob C was just too observant, he was just too smart, and he peeped the game early. So sending him home was a really smart move. Good job to the traitors. Now, Michael is still fuming and he's asking if on Survivor they have to lie. Now, when he said that, this is obviously a jab at Jam Jam, right? So Jam Jam starts rolling his eyes and he's like, here we go again. Because we know something is about to go down with Michael because Michael is just stirring the pot, causing unnecessary drama. And like I said, we the people we tired, right? So, yo, sorry, I need to take a sip. So Michael brings up maybe a traitor had a shield. And honestly, I don't really understand what his beef is with Jam Jam. I think they just don't like each other. And honestly, it's getting annoying. It's just too much. Now Alan walks in and we know his ritual. He's going to toss a picture frame and it's Rob C's picture. Now, again, none of the players except the traitors know that the murder was done in plain sight. In spite of Alan saying that, I feel like that just flew over their heads. Nobody actually noticed that Alan actually said that. But he tells them that they can get to avenge Rob immediately with a round table before the mission. Y'all, when I tell you I screamed, I was shocked. And not me alone, because everyone was shocked and everyone was like, what? And like I said, this season has had the most twists and turns that I have ever experienced. So then we see Tiffany pulling Michael to the side into the secret library. And she's having a talk with Michael and she tells him, look, Michael, you really need to chill. She said that she thinks if he's a traitor, he's going to look out for her. She said that in her confessional. And I'm just like, girl, does Michael look like he has loyalty to anyone but himself? So if that's your gameplay, you better wheel and come again. You better pull up, pull up that because that's not going to happen. Now, while they're in the secret library having a conversation, there's a conversation happening outside. And luckily, they were not able to bump into each other because that would have been pure chaos, right? So, in the discussion, they're actually talking about Michael being a traitor because of his strategy, being loud and obnoxious maybe a strategy. Um, but Michael, on the other hand, he's just seeing Jam Jam and he wants Jam Jam out of the game. Colton is with a group of them, and child, like I said, I'm not familiar with everyone's name yet, but Colton is convinced that Donna is a traitor, and he said he's standing 10 toes down on it. Donna needs to go home. Now, for a moment, it felt like he was trying to convince himself. So, him saying it's Mama Donna, and if they're wrong, then next round table it's going to be wrong. So he, for me, just felt like he wasn't too sure, but he had that gut feeling, right? Now Candice is with Monet, and she brings up Ron, saying that the way he flipped the script. Now y'all tell me why I find it so funny that every time Candice calls Rob Alabama Rob, I don't know, that just sounds real funny to me because I was just like, who is she talking about? Every time she says Alabama Rob, I'm like, wait, who's she talking about? And then I remember it's Rob Rob. Anyways, so she's thinking that it's either Michael, Rob, and Donna. Clearly, Candice is a traitor, but she has to feel like she's a faithful. So she's name dropping, right? Michael, Ron, or Donna. Now, as we see all the different conversations happening, everyone is clearly dropping Donna's name. And while a group of them are there discussing Donna, tell me, why did she walk into the room and she said, "You all know I could hear all right." She said, "I can hear y'all shushing. I can hear it." But Kristen asked her or anyone if they have any evidence of anyone that they think is a people. And suddenly, Donna has an opinion. She suggests that the traitors may have had shields. And when she said that, I thought she was hinting at Jam Jam, but instead she said it may have been Michael because he's been wanting a shield and he's been causing all this drama, starting all this mess for a shield. And I'm just like, Donna, girl, you better tread carefully because if Michael hears you, he will tear that behind because we know Michael ain't playing no games, right? But Jam Jam said he feels like Michael is a traitor. And guys, don't you find it interesting again that all of a sudden Donna is now engaging with people? She's all of a sudden interacting. She's now name dropping when just a few moments ago she didn't want to name drop. She was by herself. She was only with Ron. So clearly her strategy has changed because she knows that her name has come up. But after all of the discussion, it's now time to be at the round table. And of course, in the beginning, it's always crickets. Everyone's just looking at each other, looking suspicious, feeling like, this person is the traitor, that one is the traitor. So Candy starts the conversation and tells Ron how they came in with he came in with a consensus. They came in with a consensus and he was able to flip the script. Rob said that he was going based off what he heard, and Rob says, well, no one heard what Ron had said because it just came out of nowhere. Rob pretty much said, Ron pretty much said, y'all thought I was dumb and incapable of talking and getting my point out until I did it, but that doesn't make me a traitor. So now Colton jumps in and says, Donna, here's your moment to convince me that you're not a traitor because I was going to write your name down. So Donna says that, oh, I've been fangirling all day on y'all. I really love hanging out with y'all. I tried today. Now Candice tells her, this is exactly why I think you would be a great traitor. And baby, when Candice said that, did y'all peep how Donna's lips started trembling? Y'all saw that? Did it struck struck a nerve, Donna? Right? So Donna says, well, think about whose name Think about who's putting my name out there the most because I don't know. And for me, it's she's sort of deflecting. Colton says it wasn't me because I changed my name from you to Portia because he sent Portia home. So Tiffany asked Donna if she suspects anyone, and again, suddenly she has an input. She says Michael's name, and I feel like that was very bold of you, Donna. Now, she gives a convincing story about Michael, which is all true. He's loud, he's able to sway things the way he wants it to. But we know Michael is not a traitor. He's just very obnoxious, right? So Michael said, look here, I'm the best looking, dopest, smartest, faithful, and that's on period. When Michael said that, I think everyone was just irritated and annoyed with Michael. And here comes Jam Jam. Michael is throwing his name, he's putting Michael's name out there. And Fulton asks, why aren't they saying Donna's name? So they're going back and forth. And baby, here comes Michael singing, if you're a traitor and you know it, clap your hands. Oh my god. So Jam Jam said, is that the song you're singing, the threat? When I tell you, I screamed. But Michael didn't care. He was just singing his little game. But Alan said, it's now time to vote and child. I was sitting there trying to figure out who they're going to send home because everybody was just all over the place. But to my surprise, damn near everyone voted for Donna. Now, when they went to Jam Jam, I found that part to be funny. Before I should have even said that part. But when Jam Jam was asked whose name he wrote down, he had me laughing because he said, you all know that wasn't my first choice. Oh my god, these two need to get their acts together. But he did vote for Donna. And so it's the circle of truth time. Donna gets to the front. And baby, when she said, you've got yourself a traitor, I screamed so loud. And I was just like, oh my god, I knew there was just something about Donna that didn't seem right. And Donna was the secret traitor. We got to see the moment she found out that she was a secret traitor from day one. And she was playing the game, playing the sweet mom and being the menace because she was the one selecting all of the names of persons to be sent home, right? So after all of the results and everybody screaming and shouting, finding out that Donna was the secret traitor, Alan now announces that it's time for a challenge. So he says that they must pair up with the person they trust the most. Now, since there's an odd number, they must ensure that they're in a pair. Now, everyone is in a pair except Ron. Nobody trusts Ron. Nobody wants to be around Ron because he's the one who sent Portia home. So the players are asked when they get to the place that they're having the challenge, excuse me, they're asked to stand next to a cage with their pair. Now, among themselves, they must now decide who will be locked in and who will stay out. And so the person who stays out has to fight to free the player that's locked in. So the player remains, if the player remains locked in there, that means they will be up for murder, right? Now, since Ron didn't have a pay, that makes him automatically up for murder. So in the cage, we have Michael, Eric, Lisa, Christine, Candice, Maura, Jam Jam, and Caroline. So now the other players head to the woods. They must find 10 skulls and it must be stacked. Once they have the 10 skulls stacked up, that would automatically release the person who is held in the cage, and they have 10 minutes to do so. Everyone seems to be doing really well except Johnny. Johnny was struggling. Rob was the first person to finish, and Maura was released from the cage. Steven was the second person. Jam Jam was released. Monet finishes next, and Natalie was released. Johnny was still out there struggling. Tiffany finishes next and releases Michael. And when they got to the 10 seconds mark, Tara was able to release Candice. But when the game was over, y'all, tell me why Johnny came when the game ended with his little skulls. That was crazy. But the players did add to the prize pot the amount of $25,000. So on the list for persons to be murdered was Eric, Lisa, Christine, Caroline, and Ron. Now here's what's going to happen. They're going to be murdered by the traitors face to face. So the players head back to the castle, those who were safe, and Colton points out that he clocked how Tiffany picked Michael for the game. That was a little bit strange too, right? But Colton clocked that. Now, once they settle in, Colton starts questioning Tiffany, and all of a sudden, Tiffany starts throwing out Jam Jam and Michael's name. But she didn't realize that Colton was thinking about her being a traitor, and he's just trying to get information out of her. But, anyways, the clock strikes, it's now time for bed, and all of the players who were shortlisted were tied to a tree, and I'm just like, that is dramatic. Very, very dramatic. So now the traitors meet up, Lisa, Rob, and Candice. And I don't know why I thought Lisa would have still been in the woods since she was up. She was a part of the shortlisted group. But she came in to meet with the other traitors so that they can decide who they're going to send home, right? They talk about Donna as well and how they're kind of happy that she's gone because she was a secret traitor, and they would have met the secret traitor because they were able to execute the previous challenge, right? But they must now decide which player to rest in peace. So we see the traitors heading to the woods where all the players are tied to the tree. We see Eric threatening to hunt them if they send him away. Christine, she said she refuses to beg. Caroline said she's not ready to rest in peace. And tell me why Ron was just yelling and screaming in the woods. he's he's saying to let him live, and if they let him live, they're going to regret it. And this is where the episode ended, guys. This episode, it's I enjoyed it. But tell me all of your thoughts. How did you enjoy these 3 episodes so far? Who do you think is going home next? What stood out to you so far in the 3 episodes? What are you hoping to happen? Who is your favorite player so far? Team, are you team faithful or are you team traitors? Please let me know all of your thoughts. And I just want to thank you all so much for tuning in. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.